This is the 350th daily, where I am an interesting person, and we learn to be a better gamer. And today we're looking at HuK versus Rain, part number 2, where we're just doing a straight-up standard analysis of the action at hand. Other interesting noises I can make. Let's see here. Is pretty cool. The hum whistle. The hum whistle will weird a lot of people out. Yeah, I can't wait for the video to catch up, so that way I can see what the chat says about that. Let's go into the game. As we come over here to this game, the thing I said I was most worried about was how HuK was going to transition into the next stages of the game, because, as you'll note, everything's looking like a pretty good launching platform for the Terran. Ignore this for a moment. 3 barracks with these specific add-ons, and a starport with a reactor. This is your very typical launching point into, you know, another expand, and then adding on 3 more barracks, adding on 2 more barracks now, starting to get some upgrades. As an added bonus, Rain even has his Ghost Academy done, so he can nuke people. But HuK, on the other hand, just has a good amount of probes. I'm hoping he starts getting some more probes up, but, I mean, he's on 3 gates and a robotics facility with nothing else really there. He's just now starting his robotics support bay, and I think it's actually... yeah, there it is. I'm wondering if there's any way to even tell it's there, or whether I pause it at the most invisible moment in the replay. And this is a big curiosity I have from many a Protoss at this point in time, where I basically feel like all those early interactions may have been potentially toxic to the Protoss' sort of foothold in the later game. So I'm wondering, is HuK going to be building any more gateways in here? He is clearing out the gold. Again, I really like that there's no gateway production, or no production out of the gateways, and instead time is being devoted to building other gateways. Because again, the gateway has a very interesting mechanic in that you can warp in instantly and then wait time and warp in again. Whereas in a barracks, you start building, and then you wait for it to finish, and only when it's done can you build another unit. So I think that, in general, I feel like you want your robotics facility to always be active, and your gateways to be as idle as they can, so that way you can be adding on more gateways. Seems kind of like weird, but it actually reminds me of Plants vs. Zombies, where you want to try to be spending all your money making as many sunflowers as you can without actually spending them on useful things like pea shooters or repeaters. Right? For any of you who have played PvZ, not that one. That's right, Plants vs. Zombies. You'll know what I'm talking about, man. God, I get so much sun in that game. I'm so sick. So this is actually a nice sort of inspiring moment for me to see, because it seems like a pretty clear, simple transition. Yeah, we're getting the Colossus out. Yeah, we're going to be getting range in a moment, but our gateways, see how it still says 3 in this corner? I can still make 3 units. Nothing has really come out of the gateways for a long time. A second starport incoming makes absolute sense. He wants to have more Vikings up. We see 2 more barracks coming down. One of these needs to have a reactor. If he builds a tech lab on both, I think that is a clear mistake. That is a clear mistake. You cannot go 2 base and have enough gas to go Viking, Ghost, Marauder, and upgrade. You physically don't have that gas. I can only bend the rules so much, you guys. I'm still curious if HuK has actually built anything out of these gateways yet. And see, this is another moment where I'm really, I feel a little at a loss for a huge, broad goal from HuK. Like, I don't mean like he doesn't have one, it's like I don't know what it is. I mean, there's things like getting 2 forges for +1/+1. There's getting Twilight Council to be able to get things like Blink, but more importantly, the Charge. And, you know, maybe Templar is expanding again. I don't know. I just don't know. Or if you're Kiwikaki, you can just get a second robotics facility and go Colossus Stalker all in, dude. Screw building Dirk Templars. Oh, Kiwikaki, dude, that guy is so cool. HuK is doing some other proactive late game things, going for additional pylons, oot and a boot. And, yeah, you know, anytime you see Stalkers made, that is a way of embracing being strong now instead of strong later. Because for every Stalker you build, it eats into your minerals and gas at a very nice level, preventing you from doing anything else. Notice that the money actually plummeted all the way down to 0. If maybe a couple Zealots and Sentries had been made, there would be enough money to go for tech, to go somewhere else in the game. So as a general rule of thumb, not a strong rule, not a strict law of StarCraft, but the more Stalkers, the more stagnant the Protoss player will be in terms of his tech decisions. The fewer Stalkers there are, the more other fun, funky, crazy fun stuff he's doing. And now that's just really good. And see, again, I'd like to note, you see how HuK's moving out? And I said before, what's the direction we're going in? Yeah, 5 gates and making Colossus is great, but StarCraft games can last 20, 30 minutes, such as this one that actually lasts around 35. And I just want to ask myself, like, what's the direction? When do we get a Twilight Council? Yeah, it looks like moving out. Okay, so now I can describe this a little more clearly. Getting this 5-gate... Jeez, he wants more Colossi. Holy lulls! He had so many queued up. But getting his 3rd base before really doing much else of anything. I don't mind saying a phrase like that. And of course, my immediate next question is, what next? I think Rain did perhaps the most logical, basic thing he could have done. Oh, I see Colossus. Better get it a 2nd starport. Oh, since I can't really expand, I don't really want to be going 3 barracks, 2 Stargate, and taking a 3rd. So he goes for the 5 barracks. It's really normal and just good and stuff. Now it looks like he's dropping as he's letting his Viking count climb up. This energy has been ridiculously high for HuK for a long time. And drops are just good against Colossus. The more Colossus heavy a player is, the more I'm wanting to do drops. Just, again, general rule of thumb. Because the Colossi are so immobile, and I mean, they even look stupid trying to defend drops, I'm not going to lie. I think while all this dropping is going on, Terran actually needed to build a 3rd. I think that would have been stronger. Well, I probably would have... This is what my gut tells me. Don't build these 2 add-ons. Build the 3rd command center first, and then while the 3rd command center is building, then get these 2 add-ons. Just be making Marines out of these, so that's 4 Marines at a time, and then 2 Marauders or Ghosts at a time. And be a little more active at just having presence in the middle of the map. Be completely willing to, like, run away if you see this huge force, because you should, and it's better. But that feels like a better decision. Yeah, +1 coming. Holy late +1. Oh, it's a really late +1 upgrade. Oh, and this is where one of these things, like knowing when people usually get +1s, can screw me. Sean said, finally finding the most appropriate way to describe being totally fucking boned, right? So, if you watch a lot of StarCraft games, like I do, I watch a lot of StarCraft games, as you may know, as this is 350 episodes into the daily. I'll look at things and be like, yeah, you really want to kind of have those upgrades started by like 11 minutes. That seems to be the general trend. I really want to see those upgrades come there or earlier. Earlier than that, oh, he's going for late game. After that, oh, he must have been aggressive. Somewhere in the middle, oh, that's just right. Right? That's kind of like the thing that's ingrained in my head from seeing a lot of games. But anytime I feel like there's a law that was violated, I don't just accept it. I don't just go, wow, Rain, getting a late +1. Newbie. Newbie. Because I have a law that applies to all the games I previously looked at. But I'm not looking at those previous games. I'm looking at this game. Is there a reason this could be good? I want to argue for it right now. Well, sure. We saw our opponent having a lot of Stalkers and Colossus and taking kind of an early 3rd. Well, yeah. No problem de-emphasizing that upgrade because as we can see, HuK doesn't even have his forge started yet. Even though 14 and 42 seconds is a very late time in general to be starting an upgrade, it is still earlier than the opponent. And of all matchups, I actually think upgrades play a bigger tide-turning role in this matchup than in the others. I mean, upgrades are just like super duper important, and my statement doesn't actually really mean anything at all. They're just really damn important. And again, very idle gateways, not doing anything so we can save up enough money to add on more gateways. And this is actually fascinating to me, to see HuK waiting until he has 7 gateways before getting a Forge or Twilight Council. Or actually, better way to phrase it, he has a Robo and 7 gateways before he does anything else. And these huge number of Stalkers, remember what I said about Stalkers? As a general rule of thumb, the more Stalkers you build, the less ability you have to do much else of anything. Now that is kind of cool to me. And as we see this push coming out, I want to just look at the warp-ins that are going to be happening from HuK in a moment. He sees this huge force coming in, and look at that, 5 Zealots can immediately be warped in. And in a very short period of time, he's going to be able to get another round of Zealots because of that warp-in mechanics. Holy crap, that really is looking less than ideal for our Protoss hero. I'm actually less concerned about micromanagement in this game, and more just concerned about the overall strategy. So I feel like they'll look back at that battle, but I'm still sort of curious of the way that HuK is going to try to be able to defend this. A lot of Stalkers are actually really good against Marine Marauder. I know it doesn't feel that way a lot, but I actually feel like they're generally pretty great. When you get to a situation like this, then it's like, you know, total Found Time USA. No doubt about it. But of course, HuK is taking a kind of a significant beating. And wow, you know, this actually ended up working out hilariously. Right as the battle is done, Rain finishes his +1. And because HuK has a gold, he actually should be 100% totally fine. Now, see what I was talking about? Like, right now, this is a situation where I think in a game, many would be like, well, what does Rain do? I mean, I guess he takes his 3rd, but, Imba, Protoss, already getting Immortals, already getting this leg speed. There's nothing you can do. But I actually think that this is a point in time where you can feel dead and lost as a Terran. Like, Terran actually has a food advantage right now, but because Protoss actually has this gold up and actually has these 7 gates up, I'm feeling a little better for Protoss at this point. Because, I mean, he warps in once, and then he's just completely caught up with food. And he, you know, builds one Colossus, and he's even better. But okay, so let's work under the assumption that Terran is actually behind right now. Let's say Terran was indeed behind on food, and people would say, well, what do you do? Maybe I should have done the attack better, and this and that. And remember what I said earlier on about these 2 add-ons? I think that the Terran player should have built this 3rd command center before getting these 2 add-ons. That would be a way to get the 3rd command center earlier, because I hate being in a spot like this now where I have to think, well, damn, I didn't prepare. I just sort of assumed I would win with that attack. Crap. And the extreme example of this is someone who's 6 pools and it fails, and they're like, oh no, I'm still in this game. Oh, that feels horrible. Sentries and Zealots allows me to do other things with my money. Sentries and Zealots allows me to do other things with my money. Stalkers, pretty much I can only afford to be churning stuff out of that barracks. And so we're seeing Rain. It looks like Rain's doing kind of a big pullback. This is actually an interesting moment because you get up this stupid number of Vikings so that way you can crush Colossi. Just a ridiculously stupid amount of Vikings. But then, once you've hit stupid, you don't need to be stupider. I mean, like, 12 Vikings is going to effectively serve the same purpose as 40 Vikings. You don't really need a ton of Vikings, right? So now that Rain has hit this critical amount, I think this is a cool decision. This is actually not something that yeah, it's actually really cool. Just completely cut all starport production and get out a lot of barracks. Yeah, because I can just make 4 medevacs at a time and then just suddenly be plowing out a ton of units. That's actually quite cool. So I'm noticing that this Stalker force, notice that since the battle has finished, no Stalkers have been made. That's kind of cool. There's not been a single Stalker made since that battle. It has been only Zealots. And HuK's money continues to just climb higher and higher. That's great. I actually really like that. And now that we're sort of along these lines, I would obviously throw down a Twilight Council at some point, and I'm feeling a little bit better for our good compadre HuK. HuK. And see, ooh, nice right there. this is why I don't as much like dropping when he's like low on Colossus. I want to yeah, I want to be focusing more on like Marines and Ghosts at this point in the game, and medevacs and stuff. Yeah, this is trying to think, how do we figure out that he's not building Colossus anymore? We don't want to spend a ton on scan, but I guess it can't hurt to have some Viking sort of floating around if you're also doing some drops. Nah, maybe I don't even agree with that. In another time, another place, I would want to figure out to myself, how can I get these to just not be Vikings? How can I do stuff with these Vikings to get these to maybe be medevacs or something like that? And, ooh, yeah, oh, yeah. Not only getting Templar and not only adding on more gateways, but also getting the Warp Prism. This is like the sexy transition of the month. This will totally get you more E-points with the SC Ladies. Redeemable at the SC Ladies store, yeah. And, by the way, for all the females watching, this will get you points with the Bros of SC. I always say he and you and kind of work under the assumption that everyone who watches me is a guy, but it is around like 95% male. So for the 5% female who are watching, you kick ass. You indeed rule. Alright, Warp Prism coming down right now. Keep in mind that this is a 1.36 patch. This is not our good old 1.3 or 1.4 patch. But this is a big army tactic. I'm going to get the Warp Prism up. Keep all my Templar in it so I am un-EMP-able. And of course, because we have our Stalkers with Blink, we can keep them forward. Be really aggressive with Blink Stalkers in this matchup. Like, stupidly aggressive. But don't ever blink in somewhere. Unless it's up to the high ground and you have an observer at the ramp and you can see everything that's going on. You can be ridiculously aggressive. I gotta speed this game up because there's not as many interesting things happening at this point. It's just nuclear proliferation, building up, building up, building up of things. Where is that Warp Prism? Let me go to the HuK cam. I'm looking for it. Does he still have it? It's here. It exists somewhere. Where is it? Hey, I found it! Keeping it way out of the way of danger and trouble and all things bad. Wow. Okay, so this 1A I think is pretty logical, but whoa, man, landing at the wrong time, and that was not the best Warp Prism control. But man, do a couple of storms turn the tides of battle. And with that battle being done, I'm just going to go ahead and take another break and play another awesome song by Blue Sky Black Death. But you know what? I hope you're enjoying yourself because this is the 350th episode, a good old throwback to the way that things used to be with my analysis. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere. I am going to super duper ultra see you in just a bit.